Welcome to the Gosheckin 3-year Channelversary stream. It's been 3 years. My beard was kind of white when we started this, but it is definitely a lot more white now. And just imagine when we're talking about like the 10-year Channelversary, I'm going to look like straight up Santa Claus, and I welcome that. Coming up, we have stories about siblings affecting each other's futures, unwelcome drop-ins, sarcastic congratulations, planning for dirty futures, prioritizing children over partners, teaching toddlers new words, poorly planned proposals, upset wedding guests. Plus, we have spicy stories, petty revenge, cake stories, and for the first time ever, stories for good submitted by followers to celebrate the Channelversary. Hell yeah. Am I overreacting for wanting to leave my husband after what he did while I was caring for my sick mother? I, 25 female, and my husband, 27 male, have been married for 2 years, together for 5. We married young, but we were both financially stable and ready to build our lives together. We'd just started trying for our first baby. 7 months ago, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The doctors gave her 6 to 12 months to live. She lives 3 hours away in my hometown, and as her only child, I knew I had to be there for her final months. My husband understood completely and encouraged me to go care for her. I moved back to my childhood home to help her with treatments, doctor appointments, and daily care. It was emotionally and physically exhausting watching my mom deteriorate. I was sleeping maybe 3 to 4 hours a night, managing her pain medications, and trying to make her comfortable. My husband and I talked every other day, and he seemed supportive of what I was doing. My mother passed away 6 weeks ago, and I came home after handling the funeral arrangements and settling her estate. My husband was loving and supportive during the grieving process. We started seeing a grief counselor together to help me process the loss and strengthen our marriage during this difficult time. Last week, during what I thought was a healing conversation, he confessed that while I was away caring for my dying mother, he had been seeing his coworker, Emily, for the last 4 months. He said he was lonely and that I had been emotionally unavailable, even during our phone calls, because I was so focused on my mom. Can you imagine? Yeah. How it's inexcusable that you be focused on your mom while she's at her end of life. How dare you? I was completely shattered. While I was watching my mother die, holding her hand through chemo sessions and grieving the loss of my only parent, he was building a relationship with someone else. He waited until after the funeral, after I'd started grief counseling, to tell me, which means he was lying to me while I was planning my mother's burial. I'm staying at my best friend's house now. Can't even look at him. Both of our families are saying I should forgive him because caregiver burnout affects the whole marriage. And he was grieving too, watching me go through losing my mom. They think divorce is too extreme given everything we've been through, but all I can think about is how alone I felt in those final weeks with my mother and how he was actually with someone else the whole time. Am I wrong for wanting to end our marriage over this? Should I be more understanding of how my absence affected him?
End it now. End it.
Rarely we try not to be the immediate jump to divorce.
End it.
But divorce.
Here's why. Because you were emotionally unavailable while you were helping your mother at her end of life. What do you think is going to happen when you have a baby?
Oh.
And you are going to be unable to have sex, unable to be there for him in the beginning because it's hard. You're hanging on by a thread, and he's going to use this that he didn't get enough attention. And he's going to make it he's going to pit the baby against the husband on who gets the most attention, and it's not worth it. You're young, you're 25, end it and move the on, because you should not have to put up with this. So,
and I do see some devil's advocate comments here, like if she completely neglected him, okay, look at it this way. If that were the case, he had a duty to communicate that while it was happening and be like, hey, I know this is going on and I know this is tough. Here's what I'm feeling right now. I don't want to feel that. I just want to make you aware. And like, what can we do?
Instead of putting his thoughts and energy and effort into cheating, he could have done this. He could have been there for her. He could have shown up for her on the weekends if he was at home working throughout the week. He could have shown up because that's exactly what you would do for me.
Yeah. Well, and
you would be there every step of the way in any way, shape, or form that you could be there.
Of course I would be, because I'm not a deadbeat. But also, I call bullshit on the whole emotionally unavailable thing, because he had the opportunity to talk to her as often as he wanted to. He had the opportunity to be as emotionally connected as he wanted to. It was physically unavailable.
100%.
It was not the emotionally unavailable, it was physically unavailable. She was too far away for him to put his dick into, which is why he found somebody closer. That's it. It's that simple.
Which stands because what is he going to do when you have a baby and you are physically unavailable?
And I will go ahead and say, even though it's not an Am I the Astronaut, you were 100% NTA for what you're feeling, and if you left him. You have every right to do that. I don't know what the process of him trying to repair this damage would look like, but it would take a long time. And it doesn't sound like he's really been sorry about it. He just admitted it. What sounded like during a counseling session, just admitted it and hasn't really apologized or groveled or done anything except get the families to tell you that you should forgive him. This is a little bit of a different thing, ladies and gents. We asked our fam, the Dusty Thunder VIP group, to submit some stories to us that were stories about how the channel has impacted their lives and how it's done good. And really wanted to shine a light on the good that this fam, not just us sitting here on camera today, but all of us have been able to create here and shine a light on that and spend some time celebrating it. So here is our very first one. Let's dive in. Story for good. Hey y'all, I have been following the Dusty Thunder channel for a long time, probably close to a year. Started getting more involved with lives and subscribed a few months ago. Not only does this channel give me entertainment, but with each story, I feel like I learned something new about life. The discussions after really give me new ways to look at new situations, and I feel that I have learned new tools on how to deal with things. My husband is in the Navy and is currently deployed, and Dusty, Candy, and Tony have given me something to help get me through that. I look forward to joining the lives. I check every day for a new TikTok video, and I love the community that comes with it. So thank you to the Thunder fam for everything you guys do, and thank you to the community for being awesome. Hell yeah. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate all the love. Thank you. Sometimes we'll sit and just like talk about how many things like this that we've heard and about the positive impact, and I think it's having those discussions on those days where it's really hard, or you know, like the TikTok algorithm changes and like we struggle bus. You know what I mean? Like it's not a walk in the park. Remembering that even on the hard days, they're good days is really important. And you guys, and this helps remind us of that. So thank you.
Yes,
thank you so much.
100%.
Yeah, we got to get the tissue box ready for the stories for good today. That's for sure. Am I the astronaut for telling my sister it's not my fault she could never go to her dream school? The family dynamic is messy and complicated, so if there's any confusion, let me know. I'm the oldest out of my 4 siblings. Me, 43 male. Julia, 40 female. Kinsey, 27 female. Katie, 23 female. Julia does not play a part in any of this. She disowned the family, and yeah. Our dad ran out on us and mom was busted for possession, among other crimes, when Katie and Kinsey were still very young, so they ended up in the custody of my grandma. If you ask them, they survived World War II when it wasn't that bad. Our grandma was overly protective and tired of having to take care of kids again. But nothing extreme. Her health rapidly declined in their early teen years. I was out of state, so I wasn't a physical caregiver. I was power of attorney, so I was a financial caregiver while they took care of the physical needs. Katie was going to drop out of high school. She barely graduated. This is important for the future. Once she graduated, her and Kinsey came to me. They said they wanted to put grandma in a home so Kinsey could take a manager position. And Katie wanted to go out of town, go to our state capital, take classes at a community college, and transfer to their selective university. She said a teacher who knew her situation believed she had potential to get there and become something great. They said it wasn't possible when cared for grandma. I told them no. They've resented me since. Katie went to a community college in our town and flunked out right away. After grandma died, she went back and has been doing all right. She fell into a depression after her boyfriend cheated on her. She was talking about it to Kinsey and myself and said the thing that hurt was the person he cheated with was beautiful, talented, and then she said his affair partner actually goes to her dream school. She said this girl was everything she should have had in life. Well, rounded high school experience, parents to support her, a great education, and now this girl had truly taken everything from her. Then she mentioned she should have been at that school, but she was wiping the ass of someone who called her every name in the book for 2 more years longer than they should have. This isn't the first time she's been tipsy and made a passive-aggressive comment, so I told her, Katie, I'm not the reason you couldn't get into your dream school. You failed out right away from community college, and you would have done the same thing there. You weren't ready and can't accept that. Kinsey told me I was an ass who didn't understand burnout. Am I the astronaut? Before reading this update, I feel like we should chat about this for a second. I also feel like I have to go back and recap the story here.
Yeah, so Katie and Kinsey asked if the older brother could help them put grandma into a home so that Katie and Kinsey, who were just graduating high school or in high school, could go do college, do stuff like their own stuff because they're 17, 18 years old. Brother said no, even though he had the funds to do so. So yes, you're the f***ing asshole.
So he said, I was power of attorney, so I was a financial caregiver while they took care of the physical needs. He was out of state and couldn't be the physical caregiver.
So but he said he had the means to do it. He just said no, that he didn't want her in a home, but yet he wasn't willing to physically contribute to anything and just put it on two girls that had just graduated high school. Like, you're the f***ing asshole, dude.
I don't know.
Like, you are 100. This should not fall on two girls who, like, this is a lot to put on two young children.
How can you force them to do this? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, how can you force them to do a thing they don't want to do? Like, how would you be able to do that? What power does he have over them?
I mean, I guess financial, if he was helping financially.
He was a financial caregiver to grandma.
But they were living with grandma.
And I know they were living with grandma, but she wanted to go to school.
Yeah.
Like, what would prevent her from just going to the college she wanted to go to?
I mean, because there would be no one there to care for her.
I know, but if she did that, then it would be on him because he's power of attorney. He'd have to arrange someone else to be there. She'd make it his problem. But like writing a check
he's
every month and being a 24/7 caregiver are two very different things.
100%. And it seems to me like they were, submissive for a reason because they didn't go against what he wanted. And even now, like, she only feels comfortable speaking about this, he said, when she's been tipsy. So it's not something that she would normally say. So to me, it seems like he was an authoritative figure in her life and he abused that title, in my opinion. Like, it's giving, you can't just throw money at situations and make them better.
Right. It just doesn't.
Money can make life easier, but it doesn't make it better.
Update, guys. It seems I need to redirect you all. The question is not, am I the ass for having them care for grandma? It's not taking blame for Katie chasing a crazy dream and going to her dream school. He's like, don't pay any attention to that. That's not the question. I don't want you to focus.
You're even more of an asshole for your update.
I only want you to answer this one specific question. Not the obvious elephant in the room question.
You're the asshole for all of it. Like, all of it. Every single thing.
He was trying to control the commenters too, Dark Lord of all, yeah.
He's you embody the word douche canoe. I'm not even really sure what that means, but you are that it. There he is. Y'all, he just landed from space. He's heading straight here. Here he comes.
Our next story for good, ladies and gentlemen, is this. Here is my story for good. This community you've built is truly one of the best I've ever been a part of, second only to my school family. The way everyone here shows support and encouragement, no matter the circumstance, reflects the kindness and example you have both set for us. As an art teacher, I've always been highly critical of my own work. I create alongside my students, doodling, experimenting, and making projects. But the desire to create for myself or simply for the joy of sharing with others have been missing for years. That changed earlier this year when I made the mini paintings for your stream deck. For the first time in a long while, I took the initiative to create something just because I wanted to. Your reaction to them was incredible and reignited a spark in me to create more. Since then, I've returned to stipple portraits, a style I used to love back in college. Over the summer, my colleagues watched as I worked on them and were amazed. I still have a love-hate relationship with this style. It's painstaking and unique, but I think you'll appreciate them for that very reason. The last time I created one was in 2018 for the parents of Razorback baseball players. And knowing a major league player owns one of my pieces is exciting, but honestly, I'm even more thrilled for you to have these portraits because I know how deeply you'll love them. Thank you for your reactions, for the encouragement, and for this community that has helped me rediscover the joy of creating. I think I know who this is.
Ooh, I know too.
And I know we've got another masterpiece showing up here. And it's the ones you've done, at least several of them are now the backdrop for Candy Thunder's thing here. There you go, Cake the Rogue. Yeah, heck yeah. Thanks you so much for the love. Thank you. Am I the astronaut for telling my no-contact sister that part of growing and being a better person is accepting that people don't have to forgive and reconcile with you? Growing up, my sister, now 22 female, was the spoiled golden child of our parents. She got everything she ever wanted in life and became the brat nobody wanted their kids to be friends with. I, now 24 female, even had friends who weren't allowed to come to my house because my sister was there. She would steal, try to make you do what she wanted, and would tell our parents if you didn't, would break stuff if she wasn't included, then wasn't allowed to take over decision making. It was a whole thing. We fought a lot as kids and we both said awful things to each other, but I grew to resent her more and more because of the monster our parents created. The final straw for me was my savings. My parents wouldn't let me open up a bank account because they didn't want me hiding money. They forced my first job to fire me because they were not okay with my keeping money to myself. And I knew they wouldn't help me with college or let me stay rent-free once I was 18, so I started being sneaky about saving. I babysat for friends' parents under the guise of visiting friends. I did errands for family, friends, or other people. It didn't allow me much in the way of savings, but it allowed some. But then like 2 days before my 18th birthday, my sister found and stole the money. And yes, I had it at home, but there was nowhere else to take it. None of my friends' parents were okay with my storing it at their house in case any went missing and I accused them. They were fine helping me get money, but they didn't want the responsibility of storing it, which I understand. My sister even told our parents I had the money and they got so mad at me. In return, I told my sister to f*** off and never speak to me again, and from that day onward, she wasn't my sister and I didn't love or give a damn about what would happen to her. I left on my birthday and never went back. I was no contact from then until now. My sister reached out to me a few weeks ago because a relative gave her my number. She apologized, told me she was sorry, said she had grown up and realized how shitty she was, and she knew stealing, breaking stuff, and getting me into trouble intentionally and trying to control everything was wrong. She said she loved and missed me and was hoping that we could repair our relationship. I didn't reply. I read the text and I kept it on my phone, but I didn't reply. 2 weeks later, she texted the exact same thing with an apology if I got the first, but she wanted to be sure. Then, a few days ago, she texted again and said she knew it was my number and wanted to know why I ignored her when she had apologized and was hoping I would forgive her so we could have a relationship. It's funny that, like, when she didn't get an immediate response, she's like, I apologized. Why aren't you responding to me? I replied one time, I considered not doing this, and I told her that part of growing is accepting that people don't have to forgive you or reconcile with you just because you apologized, and that sometimes the harm done can't be undone and doors are closed forever. I didn't reply after that. Then the relative who gave her my number and I exchanged some words because of this, and she told me it was the most arrogant way to tell somebody that you don't accept their apology.
Totally changed.
Didn't know she didn't get a vote. She said I should have been more accepting, and I told her that I didn't need to listen to this. Am I the astronaut for it, though? I'm not doubting myself, but I wonder if there are others who feel the same way as the relative. Honestly, maybe I should have kept ignoring my sister and blocked her number. Okay, so really the question is like, am I the astronaut for responding at all and responding the way that I did? Not for making the decision to go no contact, not for not forgiving her, but for actually responding and saying, look, part of growing up is that I don't have to forgive you.
You weren't an asshole for telling the truth, because that is true. People can apologize, but you don't get to choose whether or not they accept and forgive. And they can accept and not forgive, and you don't get to be part of their life.
You don't get to be part of their life?
Be part of their life. She wasn't your sister. She was your childhood bully, and your parents enabled it. Your parents made it possible for her to do this, and your life has probably been better without her in it. So she doesn't get to show up, invite herself in, give some form of an apology over text message, and pretend like she's your sister again. That's not how life works.
Yep. Here's our next story for good. Dear Dusty, Candy, and all the crew. I've been a member of the Thunder Crew for about 9 months, but a long-time lurker before that. What the channel means to me is it feels like home. It feels like hanging out with friends, gossiping, and giving advice. I struggle with anxiety and panic attacks and self-worth almost every day, and watching your videos most of the time works faster than any of my medications. Even my kids will turn them on for me when they see that I'm having a rough time. That's freaking awesome. You all in the community have helped me become stronger and to know my self-worth. I'm standing up for myself more than when I would just normally let it happen. I work night shift at a grocery store and listen to you while throwing freight, or listen to you while relaxing in my garage. My kids always ask, are you listening to your Dustman and Miss Candy? Or yes, I am. You guys make the world a little brighter every day. It's not too exciting of a story, but I thought you'd like to know you make a tremendous difference in my life out here in Idaho. Thank you for everything you do. Dang. It hits.
That's so, like, I don't even know.
It hits hard. It hits hard.
Something, this channel that we just started on a whim, and to be able to connect with everyone and like have this crazy community is just, I don't know. It's like gives a whole new meaning to butterflies, like in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
Like us. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that. Dust Man.
The Dust Man.
I love it. It's so cool.
It's such a cool thing. And to get to a point where like your kids know
Yeah.
that it's something that soothes you. It's like, okay, that's
really
so
love
cool.
that.
I think
Yes.
it works. It's still weird for me. It's still like surprising for me that it does that for people. And I'm so thankful for that.
I'm so glad that it's something that fills your cup
Yeah.
for good and that it means something to you. So.
For good. Petty revenge on my ex and his beloved gaming chair. Oh no. I love my chair. And if somebody purposefully harmed it, like there better be a damn good reason. And they better be able to replace it. Those two things. Yes. So my ex, 31 male, and I, 29 female, lived together for about 2 years before he decided he was too young to be tied down and broke up with me. The breakup itself was messy, but the real issue was that he left a ton of his crap in my apartment, promising he'd swing by next weekend to grab it. 3 months later, guess who still hadn't swung by? He didn't care about most of it, clothes, random tools, ugly posters. The one thing he texted me about constantly was his gaming chair. This ridiculous, oversized, racing-style monstrosity took up so much space in my living room. He kept saying, "Don't sit in it. It's ergonomically tuned to my body." Yes, he really said that. I finally got sick of tripping over it, so here's what I did. I dragged it into the smallest corner of the apartment and piled all of his other junk on top of it. Then, every time he texted me about his chair, I sent him a new picture of it in increasingly undignified positions. The chair was covered in laundry. The chair was wearing a sombrero. The chair buckled in the backseat of my car with a seatbelt. The cat lounging smugly in it like it was her throne. He got progressively more annoyed. His text went from LOL funny to seriously, don't disrespect the chair. Finally, I told him he had 1 week to come get it or it was gone. Predictably, he didn't show. So I listed on Facebook Marketplace for $20, way below what it was worth, and sold it to a very enthusiastic college kid within an hour. When my ex eventually came by and realized it was gone, he lost it. He told me I was vindictive and immature. I just smiled and said, "Guess it wasn't ergonomically tuned to your schedule." Damn.
You had 3 months.
He abandoned his property. At first, I'm reading this story and
You
I'm
had
like, all right,
3 months.
there may be like a civil case here because this is destruction of property. But no, he abandoned it. And if there was any kind of like timeline legally to say this is when it becomes abandoned property, I'm quite certain that 90 days covers it. There's no way you would be on the hook to store somebody's gigantor chair for 3 months for them. Was he paying rent for this chair to take up space in your place? I don't think so. I think it's great that you had some fun with it, though.
I'd sit in it every day until it became attuned to my body.
Am I the astronaut for stopping by my best friend's house without notice? A little background since I feel it's necessary for the situation. I, 27 female, have been a lifelong friends with Jay, 28 female. 6 months ago, Jay bought a home, which was a huge milestone goal for her, and I was super proud. Before Jay had her own place, she lived with her family as her parents wanted her to be able to save for a house without rent pressure. I'm super close to her family by extension, so it became normal over the years for me to just stop in without notice. I kind of assumed that this would remain the same for her new home, and it seemed fine for the first 5 months. What I think changed is that Jay's partner, P, 25 female, has moved in the last month when her lease was up on her apartment. When I would stop over randomly, I could kind of tell that she seemed a bit put off by it, but she never directly said anything at first. Yesterday, I came around after work, and it was clear when I came in that I had interrupted date night. I apologized immediately, but P was very upset. She tore into me about constantly dropping in without notice or invitation, and that as a couple in their new home, they deserve some alone time without me inserting myself. Jay backed her up on this and said that we're adults now and can't spend the same amount of time with each other now that we all have adult obligations. She'd like me to now wait until she invites me over or ask first before coming over. I think that her partner is turning her against me. We never had any issues before P moved in, and I feel like she's trying to separate us and make boundaries in Jay's home when she owns no part of this house, and I said as much to Jay. Oof. I regret this now as Jay told me not to bother speaking to her until I can respect her partner and their home. I still think that P is trying to sabotage our friendship, but no one in our friend group is taking taking my side. Okay, let's talk about this for a second.
I think no one's taking your side because you're wrong, but that's just my opinion. I think, and I see this so much in chat, when a partner is involved, you have to ask, like, because you're going to barge in on date night or sexy time or whatever. And nobody wants you barging in during that, either one of those things. And I think, and they are right, like the older you get, the more you need to respect, especially when like they bring a partner into their home.
Yeah.
It's their house now, no matter if she's on the lease, no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how it was before. P and J have now decided to make that their home and their home together. So you are also barging into each one of their home, not just an individual anymore.
It doesn't matter if her partner has any ownership to it. I think this is what happens when somebody with no situational or self-awareness at all has a bestie that grows up, because inevitably, like, they start an adult life, but there's this clinging to routine and clinging to, what was okay. And even how she looks at it now and says, like, we didn't have any issues before her partner. Well, yeah, when you have a bestie and they find a partner, things change. Shit changes. Like, even if it's not dropping by the house, like, it's
right. People's
lives change. People grow up. People do adapt. Now, here's where I think you went really, really, really off the rails wrong here, is that Jay took P's ire and was like, I agree. Moving forward, we need to do this. So Jay was not tearing into you. Jay was establishing a boundary.
Right.
And you responded to that by saying, I think she's just trying to put you against me. I think she's trying to cause a fracture in our relationship. She's the devil. And then Jay was like, don't talk to me until you can respect her and our home.
Right.
You got what you deserved here. As tough as that is to hear, you got what you deserved, and you need to be taking some time to actually self-reflect here on where you're at and why you're here and what your goal is and how you should move forward.
I think that you yourself are fracturing your friendship with Jay, not P. And I think it's your actions moving forward that will define whether or not you get to continue a friendship with Jay.
Yeah.
And I mean, some people, like, there are some people that we wouldn't care if they drop by our house whenever, but those people always text. Like, I wouldn't care if our parents came by. Just knock on the door or send a text message before you come over. You don't get to barge into people's houses anymore.
Please knock.
That's all I'm trying to say.
And she tried to ask nicely for you to do that. Moving forward, you have to do this or this. It wasn't, hey, don't ever speak to us again. It was, hey, moving forward, do this. And you're like,
I noticed, like, we had another story that was sent in that we'll read later on Sunday, but it's when you correct someone, it's human nature to take offense to it. So it's like you have to get past the part where it's offensive to try to understand if it is something that you should correct or if you're just taking it offensively because someone is correcting behavior.
Right.
And there's like this moment where it's like if you are automatically reacting, like you're offended, you're automatically on the defensive when someone tries to tell you something. Check yourself, because if that's your normal reaction to it, if you're always defensive of what you're doing, like it's hard to have conversations with those people. It's hard to be around those people because everything you say is going to be taken personally or as a slight.
Yeah. And I think part of this, the defensive state, is you being stuck in this being right is more important than being better. All right, here we go. Our next story for good. I found the Dusty Thunder TikTok page in December of 2022. When it was still Reddit said it. I was first drawn to Dusty's voice and I really liked what he had to say. I was only casually watching for a while, then I found the YouTube channel, and that's when I really got sucked in. I became a member on YouTube during the 24-hour stream and have been so amazed by how kind and caring the community is on the Facebook page. It's really helped me feel supported. The live streams became my therapy when I couldn't afford actual therapy. So much of Dusty's and Candy's advice hits home, and I strive to apply it to my life every day. I'm in actual therapy now, and funny enough, my first session was the day before I met Dusty, Caden, and Tony. Hell yeah. That experience of getting to meet you guys in person was magical. I was nervous as hell, but the conversation flowed really well, and I could have stayed there talking for hours. I frequently say things like pain creates change and words are hard, and whenever I butcher the saying, I think of Candy and I don't feel as embarrassed when it happens.
Yes.
I often do put Dusty Thunder videos on at night and fall asleep to them. I know Dusty doesn't know how to take to people saying they fall asleep to his voice. I can tell you that the reason I am able to fall asleep listening to him is because he makes me feel safe. Safe enough to where I can relax and focus on his words so my brain goes quiet and I'm able to sleep. No matter how dark, petty, or lighthearted a story is, it still brings me happiness to know that Candy, Dusty, and crew care so deeply and want to give the best advice they can. Thank you guys so much for creating this channel and community. It means so much to me, and I'm sure everyone else in the community. Here's to 3 years and many, many more to come. Hell yeah, that is...
That, not sure what he's doing right now, but... Oh.
It deserved it.
He just started scratching around.
It deserved it.
Like a litter box.
I was getting ready to use it as a litter box.
The fact that somebody recognized you as like a safe space and a safe guy.
Yeah.
Makes me like genuinely so happy and thankful that you can be that space for other people and that other people see it too. Because he's like, I see posts of women bashing men and stuff or whatever, and I'm like, I don't have that. I know that I'm spoiled in that sense, and I know that I have this great guy. So I'm super thankful that other people recognize that and that it's beneficial to them as well.
That's, man, if I could be anything to anybody in this world, being somebody's safe space is...
You're my safe space.
That's BFD. There was a post, I'm saying this because my eyes are tearing up and I have to pivot. I saw this post that said, it was like one of those old school, like a medieval knight talking to like one of the fancy debutante kind of looking ladies of court, if you will. And the knight was saying to the lady, "Are you free tomorrow?" And she says, "No, I'm expensive every day." And it was like, that's so perfect. That's such a Candy Thunder meme right there. Friggin' love it. "Are you free tomorrow?" "No, I'm expensive every day." It's actually something Navy Thunder would say. Am I the astronaut for sarcastically congratulating my dad? Immediately into it. So when I, female 17, was 5, my dad left my mom and me. Since then, I saw him maybe 3 to 4 times at family functions. From my family, I found out that he got married and had other kids. I figured he wouldn't have been a good dad just because of the type of dad he's been to me my whole life. Yesterday was my great-grandma's 100th birthday, so we were doing a big party for her. A few days ago, I found out from my grandma that my dad is going to be there, and more than likely with his kids. I was still going to go, though, because I've always been close to my great-grandma. About an hour of me being at this party, my dad, his wife, and their 2 kids walk in. The kids were about 3 and 6 years old. I watched them off and on through the party. My dad was actually being a dad. He was playing with his kids and listening to them, even had cute nicknames for them. Then my dad came up to me and said pretty much, "Hey, my name, how have you been? It's been a while." I will admit I was upset seeing my dad act like the person he never was to me and has never put in the effort. So I said, "I'm okay," and then pointed over to his kids and said, "Congrats on actually being a dad this time around." My dad got mad and said that he's sorry, but he can't change the past. But he never even puts up an effort now to call or text me or wants to come or visit me. I then had other family members tell me I need to grow up and get over it and now be happy for my dad. So, am I the astronaut? Who's telling you?
Yeah, who the fuck said this to you?
Who's telling you to grow up and get over it?
You're a child, first of all, and second of all, send them my way because I'll talk to them. Also, how excruciating would this be to see the person who was supposed to be your parent and never showed up for you and to watch them with kids of their own after they've started a family? And like he said, it would be one thing if he didn't show up in the past but tried to repair the future, but he's not even doing that. He's just not showing up at all and just washing his hands of it.
OP 17, right? And maybe he's like, "Oh, you're a teenager now, so there's like, no point." Yeah, of course, there's always a point.
Right? I can't change the past, so just deal with it. But I'm also not going to be there for you now either, so.
No, I can say, like, I was reading the story and playing devil's advocate in my head for a second because I'm like, there is a possible scenario here where OP, your mom, made it as hard as possible for him to be involved, right? And like didn't have the opportunity. Still on him to try and find a way and form that relationship. And it's sure as shit on him now. But there is a way. I mean, there are scenarios where the parent in control legally makes it as hard as possible for the other parent to have a relationship. That does happen. That ain't the case here. And if it was,
this guy's not even trying.
It might have been in the beginning, but he has done nothing to counteract that at all. It's garbage. You did nothing wrong here. No, for shining a light on him being a deadbeat to you and the contrast between that and how he is with his kids now. I think you said exactly what needed to be said. Congrats on actually being a dad this go round. Yeah, the truth fucking hurts, buddy. Imagine going through 17 years of it.
And the fact that he responded the way that he did, like I said, he accepts no blame in this. That's the vibe that it gives. Like, he's just saying, it is what it is. This is how it is. So, like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You just deal with what you got. And I just can't imagine how hard that would be to see someone. I don't know what I think the dad should have done in that moment, but this ain't it. And this person is obviously hurt seeing their dad act like that with other kids. And they have every right to feel that way. That's just really sad. I mean, I don't know.
It didn't do any good. I mean, well, I guess it goes back to what do you hope to achieve here? Because you had every right to call him out, and he deserved to be called out, and he didn't like the pain of being called out. Too fucking bad. You know what? He probably didn't like the pain of being called out, probably more so in front of his new wife and kids. More so than actually giving a shit about the scenario. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
He knows he's a bad guy. You know he's a bad guy. His new wife and kids don't know that.
I don't know.
Am I the astronaut for refusing to remake the ruined birthday cake after my sister stuck her finger in it? So my 28 female sister, Maddie, 24 female, is known in our family for being the picky one. She does not cook, she does not bake, but she always has an opinion about food. Last weekend, I made a chocolate cake with peanut butter frosting for my mom's birthday. It wasn't Pinterest perfect, but I spent hours baking, cooling, and frosting it. Honestly, I was so proud of it. Well, Maddie walks in, stares at it for about 2 seconds and goes, "The frosting looks too thick." Before I can even respond, she literally sticks her finger into the side of the cake, scoops a hunk of frosting out, licks it, and says, "Yeah, definitely too thick." I kind of lost it. I told her she just ruined the cake, and now it looked like a toddler had attacked it. Maddie shrugged and said, "Just spin it around. No one will notice." My mom, the little birthday girl, didn't care and said it was fine, but I was furious. I refused to serve a cake with a giant fingerprint crater in it, so I cut the whole section out and tried to patch it. It still looked wonky. Maddie then says, "You should just make another one."
Okay, girl.
Here's where I might be the asshole. I told her, no way. If she wanted a perfect cake, she could bake one herself. Mom ended up laughing it off, but Maddie sulked the whole party and later texted me that I was selfish for ruining Mom's birthday cake over my pride. For the record, the cake still got eaten and everyone said it tasted amazing. Maddie didn't eat a slice though, because apparently she doesn't even like peanut butter. So am I the astronaut for refusing to remake the cake after she stuck her finger in it? Okay, hold on just a second. Get the thread, get the pins, because, okay. So she not only finger the cake, but then was like, remake it.
I didn't ruin it. You did.
She ruined it and then wanted you to remake it because she ruined it? Well, at first she said just spin it around. And then she escalated from that to remake it when you were... Wow.
This is...
Talk about lack of self-awareness.
Right. This is OP's sister from the earlier story that we read.
There you go.
The bully.
There you go. This is what would happen if you allowed her to come over for any kind of birthday party.
Right.
I'm sorry. I think I shocked people with the with my language, with my strong language. I am sorry. Sometimes it happens.
You shocked me. Send the brat the bill, Justin.
There you go. Send the brat the bill.
This is just an asshole move. Like, you can camp out at Ascon too. I don't think you're a terrible human being, but you're teetering.
Am I the astronaut for telling my girlfriend she's going to have to get over dirt if she wants kids? My 25 female girlfriend, Amy, 27 female, is a wonderful person. She's very smart. She works in a clean room with computer chips and stuff. But she's also something of a germaphobe. To the point that she keeps her toothbrush in the hallway outside the bathroom in a Ziploc bag. Her apartment is always spotless. She showers twice to thrice a day. Even her car somehow never has any dirt on the floor. She hand washes all of her clothes as soon as she's done wearing them. It's both impressive and intimidating. Also, like, her working in a clean room has got to be her dream job. She's like, everything is perfect here. I'm not the messiest person on the planet by any means. I don't have massive piles of unwashed dishes or a leaning tower of used pizza boxes or anything, but I'm not as clean as she is. I'm not against making some adjustments, but we've been talking more about the future now that we're getting serious, and I've come across a problem. Amy wants kids. Desperately wants kids. I'd like kids too, but she's never been around babies or little kids before in her life, and seems to think she'll be able to keep the house just as clean as it is now and keep the baby spotless too. I'm the oldest of 4 and the oldest cousin of 9. I grew up around kids. I've been babysitting since I was 10. There's no such thing as a clean toddler. Not for longer than 10 minutes at the very most. She thinks if we just work at it, we have a spotless house and a spotless kid. I told her gently that that's just not possible, and asked how she plans on handling diapers, vomit, frogs smuggled into the house, jam going everywhere, soup bowls tipped over for fun, spilled grape juice, nail polish on the walls, and the like. She insisted that the kids who do that are just poorly trained and don't have good boundaries. I told her that they're kids without fine motor control or impulse regulation, and accidents will always happen. And if she wants to have kids, she's going to have to accept that they are going to get messy, and our house will get messy. Amy accused me of not being supportive and trying to find excuses not to have kids with her and trying to guilt her into being sloppier. This is dissolving into an actual fight instead of a discussion, and I'm starting to second guess myself. Maybe my family was just excessively messy because we were rural and poor. Maybe my standards are too low and we really haven't tried hard enough. It's very frustrating, and I want some outside perspective. Parental perspective, especially. Am I the astronaut? Poorly trained. Those children are just poorly trained.
Says every non-parent in the world. And he's right. I mean, or they're right. Kids are just messy, and they don't have control. Like, they don't have a filter. They don't have like any of the stuff that we grow into as an adult. And it's not about training them. Like, poorly trained, like, feels like pet-like. I don't, in a way.
It does.
I taught my dog to sit, and they stay there the whole day. They never move.
Navy, this is not how I trained you.
Yeah, but I think this is a good topic to have a discussion to have now before you actually have the kids and it becomes this very messy, non-messy situation. Because I feel like it will, and it does derail your life because everything before kids is much different after kids, and it's just life. Like, it's how it goes. And I grew up. My mom wanted the house clean all the time. It was not like this though. Like, she wanted it cleaned. We were taught to pick up after ourselves or whatever, but it wasn't not in this nature, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your mom was very similar.
Yes. When the vacuum was running at 6 a.m., we knew it was not going to be a good day.
Heard that.
We just knew.
Right over your room and multiple times, and you're like, that feels intentional.
Yeah, a little bit. I will say, even though, there may be some OCD here and maybe she truly is a germaphobe, that doesn't mean that's an unhealthy thing. I would say, though, go back to this quote that we heard recently, and that is, you don't raise your children, your trauma does. And you think about, I would have a discussion about why she is the way that she is and how that is going to play into a kid, because having the expectation of your child to be just as OCD as you are
great, yeah.
is not a healthy thing to put on your kid. And your kid could come out and be wildly different than you are, right? Operate differently, have different wiring, have different predispositions, have different sensory things that they struggle with. How are you going to handle that? The expectation that your child is going to have the exact same preferences as you is a misconception. And trying to put that on your kid is unhealthy and unfair to your child. Mm-hmm. And that's going to lead to frustration with you. I agree with everything you're saying here, OP. I think it is I would rather have this discussion now than either end up with you being an incredibly frustrated parent because nothing is the way that you want it, or end up with you being an incredibly frustrated parent who also gives our child a complex and trauma and gives them something they have to deal with for the rest of their lives too. I think you're doing the right thing here, OP. Now, I know, OCD is not an uncommon thing, and ADHD is not an uncommon thing. Having some isms is not an uncommon thing at all. And we still have to parent. We still have to figure out how to live. We still have to do those things. So I'm not saying it's a no-go and you shouldn't have children. I'm saying you need to find some common ground so that you can operate as a team moving forward here, because you guys are on opposite ends of this right now. And that's something that I think is smart to have these discussions now. Am I the astronaut for prioritizing my children's relationship over my wife's preference? I have one son with my ex-wife and 3 kids with my current wife. My oldest is 19. The other kids are 13, 12, and 6, all boys except for the 12-year-old. My oldest traveled overseas during summer break, but there was a 2-week period where he was at school but had no class and no commitments, and he wanted us to come visit him. I said that we would go, and when I told my wife, she was annoyed I committed without asking her. Going overseas? Yeah. I said we didn't have plans. She said I couldn't know that for sure without asking her. I said if there are plans, I don't know about. Surely that means she made a commitment without asking me. Ooh, the argument fizzled out. However, she later informed me that we were invited to go on a trip with some friends that would overlap, and she wanted to go on the trip. I said we already had plans. She said she never agreed to the plans, and the argument resumed. Eventually, I said she could do whatever she wanted, but the kids and I were going to fly out to visit my son. I said it's important for them to spend time together so they continue to have a good relationship now that he's an adult, and we probably won't see him as much. She said, I know that she hates California, where his school is, and it's insensitive for me to just assume she's okay with going. I told her if she doesn't want to go, don't go. I will go alone with the kids. She didn't want that, and the fight got intense. So I said we should ask the kids what they want to do. When we asked the kids, she really talked up her vacation plan and poo-pooed going to California, but the kids wanted to see their brother. She still didn't want me to take them after that, and we continued to argue about it right up until the kids and I left. We had a great trip. Ever since we returned from the trip, she has been frosty towards me. Last week, she dropped the bombshell of wanting to do couples counseling. I agreed, and we just found somebody and made an appointment for September. All my friends say the counseling is a bad sign, the divorced and married alike. I guess I just want to know what I'm in for. Am I going to go in and immediately get roasted for my actions? Ultimately, I love my wife and I love my kids, and I want my kids to have a good relationship with each other. Is that so bad? Okay, this will be an interesting one to dissect here.
I don't think counseling is a bad side. I think that if you're sick, you go to the doctor. If your marriage is sick, you go to counseling and get help to work through it. I think it's a sign, as long as you're putting the effort in for both sides, I think it's a sign that you want this to work. And like I said, as long as you're being truthful in counseling and are open to receiving that help. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad sign. But if she intended it to be a bad sign, then maybe you have a problem.
Regardless of how she intended it, and I did think about that, but Brittany makes an interesting point. Make sure it's a real therapist first.
That's true.
We've run into that story before. She probably has an agenda going into this, right?
Given that she did it when he came back from this, given how that fight escalated, I think she has an agenda. And I think she's doing it to make a point.
She's doing it to make a point. Now, hopefully, you have a good therapist that you end up with, and it's not one that will just allow the person who contacts them and sets up the appointment to control the agenda, but actually focuses on healing and improving communication and making you a better couple overall, right? Because that's the true goal here. And maybe that's the first conversation. And in your shoes here, going in there, I think going in there with the one goal of becoming stronger as a couple and as a team, I think that's a pure goal that you can go in with. And if somebody else has an ulterior motive, a good therapist should see through that pretty quick, right?
Hopefully.
I wouldn't think that, you're married and divorced friends alike saying that it's a bad sign. That's a red flag.
Child, if any of our children ask us to come see them while they're at college, my answer is yes.
Hell yeah.
Like, you want to see me? Absolutely, I'm there.
The communication should have happened, though. I do agree with that.
They should have communicated, but I don't know. Like, it kind of seems like she doesn't want to go see his son because it's not hers. Like, I don't know if that's true, and I don't know if he's painting it to be that way, but it gives off that vibe.
Well, and now she's got ammo she's stacking up, right? She's like, I don't want to go because you committed without talking to me first. I don't want to go because it's in California. I don't want to go because it's not my kid. There are a lot of different selfish personal reasons that she's got stacked up, but you should go. You should go to counseling. And she may be marching in there thinking she's going to mop the floor with you, right? Because she wants to air this grievance. And hopefully you've got a good therapist that will treat this as an exercise to improve you as a team. And she will maybe be a little humbled in that exercise.
Yeah, I would say look at it this way. Walk into therapy knowing that you're there for the right reasons, and whatever reasons she is there for is on her. But if you walk in with the intentions to help your marriage, to do better as a partner, and to move forward in life together, then you're walking in there with the best of intentions. So you have nothing to worry about.
You have nothing to worry about at all.
Hope that she is doing the same.
And you should have communicated, and maybe that's what you'll hear, but that's okay. Here is our last story for good for the stream today, ladies and gentlemen. I just wanted to share this with you all. I wrote a poem for Dusty in honor of the channel's anniversary. You all are amazing, and I look forward to every Wednesday. You bring laughter to my heart and make my day so much better. Thank you for all you do. Keep up the good work. Dusty Thunder, he's a wonder. Reading stories to make you ponder. All the ask-ons and black holes that will make your eyes roll. Dusty Thunder, there's no greater. Also, Candy, known as Tater. She loves Dusty, that's no joke. But don't forget her Diet Coke. Dusty Thunder shakes his head and laughs at Tony, a.k.a. Ted. Caden Thunder likes to rap. He's surprisingly good, and that's no cap. Ooh. Dropping bars here. Dusty, Candy, Caden, and Tony, their show is great. That's no baloney. Don't forget Navy and her small part. But don't you ever, bless her heart.
This just made me so
this
happy. I love this so much.
We need to create a musical version of this now. It has to happen.
Who wrote that? Did it say, was there a name?
Not on my doc.
Oh my gosh.
You know who wrote it? Okay, OP. If you want to claim it, if you want to claim it, claim it.
That was very fun.
Am I the astronaut for teaching my 3-year-old the definition of the word mistake? Every summer for the past couple of years, I have worked different jobs as a summer nanny. When I started nannying this past summer, I realized quickly that it would be unlike any other job I've had. Why that is for another discussion. Why that is for another discussion. Anywho, a few weeks ago, one of the kids had their birthday. Their mom asked me to make them a cake for their party because I have previous experience making cakes. While she was out running errands, I got started on the cake and I ended up burning it because the kids were fighting and I had to deal with that. As I was cleaning up the mess from the burnt cake, the 3-year-old came up to me and asked why I was throwing the cake away, to which I responded, "Oh, it's because I made a mistake and burned it." He then asked, "What's a mistake?" Seeing this as a valuable teaching moment, I said, a mistake is when you do something wrong by accident. Mistakes aren't a bad thing. Even grown-ups like me make them. I actually think it's good to make mistakes because you can learn from them. All you need to do is start over and try again.
Okay.
Great. He was very content with that answer, and I didn't think anything about it. When his mom got home, she yelled at me for burning the cake. She was livid. I don't understand why, especially because I offered to reimburse her for the wasted materials and stay late without pay to make a new cake, but she screamed at me nonetheless and said that she'll make it herself. Since then, the 3-year-old has been terrified of making mistakes. He won't do anything independently. She made me spend an hour each morning teaching him how to write, and one morning, while he was refusing to write his name out of fear of making mistakes, she stood up and screamed at the other kids and I. She said, "Who taught him what mistake means? When I found out, I'm going to be pissed. This is going to ruin him." This is going to ruin him? No, I don't think that's the thing that's going to ruin him, lady. I was shocked by her reaction, but once the initial fear wore off, the kids and I were terrified of her. I decided to own up to it because I didn't want the kids to get punished for it. I calmly explained that it was me and told her exactly what I said, and she fired me. She didn't give an explanation why. The only thing she said after months of my working for them was, "I'll submit your last pay stub." That's how I figured out that I was fired. Am I the astronaut for teaching him what a mistake is? I don't see why she fired me over that. He was perfectly fine until he saw her reaction to my mistake. I think that teaching him the word just gave him a word to put his fear to. He saw how she reacted to me, and he sees her screaming at his siblings daily. They have told me before that they can't stop doing something, albeit homework, piano, violin, etc., until it is perfect, for mistakes they make. And that is what traumatized him. Please give me closure as to whether or not I am the astronaut. Let's just say I will never work as a nanny again. Kids are great. Parents suck. I couldn't be it. I couldn't do the nanny thing. I couldn't do the nanny thing.
I couldn't do the nanny thing because watching this happen, here's a word that you can teach your 3-year-old mom, emotional regulation, because you just taught him a world of pain that he's going to have to heal from when he gets older because of the way that you react to situations. Like, I don't know. This just makes me sad on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And to see, as parents, we make mistakes, we get stressed out, we respond in a moment where we wish we wouldn't have said that. But you f***ing apologize and you admit your mistake. You admit your mistake because I'm not saying that you have to have together 24/7, but as a parent, you have to apologize. You have to make sure that your children understand that you made a mistake, but just screaming at them all the time. Like I nothing makes me angrier than watching parents just scream at their children and like treat them like this, and knowing what you're doing to them as a child and how that's going to reflect as an adult. Like it's unnecessary and so hurtful to the world because of what you're doing to your children. And like I said, you don't have to be perfect all the time. We lose our cool. We get angry. That is human nature. But when you can accept that how you acted was inappropriate and you made a mistake and you should not have done that, and you apologize, you show your kids a whole new world. And this is not it. Like, this just makes me like, I have goose. This just makes me so angry.
You don't parent your kids, your trauma does, right? So this was obviously how mom was brought up. Mom was brought up with this, like, you work at it until it's perfect. And if that means you spend 8 hours doing it, that's what you do. There are no such things as mistakes. You will be perfect. And that created the trauma that she has today that she's just passing on to them, right? And it's not healthy, but there has to be that's how she was trained, right? That's how she was trained to become the person that she is today. So there has to be that iceberg. You have to hit something that causes enough pain to provide an ample opportunity for change to happen, right? Maybe this is it. And maybe even though she fired her, even though, OP doesn't have the opportunity to facilitate that change, maybe she was the iceberg that made her stop long enough to think. Maybe. But she's going to have to encounter that a lot more times for something to actually start changing.
To just be mad that your child was taught to know what the word mistake means.
Good gravy. Here we go. Final story for good. Hey, Thunder Crew, staying anonymous for this one. I stumbled onto Dusty back in August of 2022, caught that very first Dusty's Awards, then binged all the TikToks and eventually switched over to YouTube and became a member. I like that platform better. Around the same time, life got rough. I had just moved to Oklahoma and started a remote job with an ask-on one of a boss, 14 to 16-hour days, no overtime pay, and corporate nonsense. Then in September, my dad needed emergency surgery back home in Mexico and ended up in the ICU. Since I was new, I had no PTO, so I worked while being with him in the hospital. Sadly, he did not recover and passed away on October 28th. I was still working while arranging the funeral and traveling. That right there granted a one-way trip to the black hole for my boss, at least in my book, as there is no corporate report that can't wait a few days of bereavement. It was a hard lesson, but it gave me a clear example of the kind of boss I will never be. By May 2023, that same company decided my job had to move on-site to North Carolina, knowing I couldn't relocate. So I went looking and found a better job here with the boss who actually values family. Through all of that, what helped me keep me sane was my family and your channel. Hearing other stories, the grounded advice, feeling part of the Thunder fam. Even if I'm not very active in the comments, I haven't missed a live. I replay them all to fall asleep. Piano Man was a favorite, and Caden's staircase story had me on edge. All that's left to say is thank you. For the time, the effort, the perspective, you have no idea how much I appreciate y'all, and happy Channelversary. Thank you so much. That is, gosh.
That's amazing. And out of all that, I'm so happy that you found a job that respects you as a human being.
Absolutely.
Because hearing people being treated like that by their employer, like, it's just completely unnecessary. And you're right, there isn't a report that can't wait or that somebody else can't handle while you're going through that. And I'm so glad that you found a job that values you as a person.
Yeah. And yeah, good for you. Like for understanding your worth and not just letting yourself be pushed around for the rest of your life, just at one point having enough and saying, okay, I'm choosing me now.
Yeah. And taking the good with the bad. And your good from that was, I will never be a boss or a manager or an employer like that, because I know what it's like to be on the other side. And him and I have both taken that approach, with the agency, our day job, that we don't ever want people to feel like I mean, this is a priority to us, but the priority to them is their life, the thing that they come to work for, because they get to go do that outside, in the outside world. This is where they make their money. And we want them to be here and be present, but we know that their end game is not this agency, it's their life.
Right.
And to find employers that feel the same way. And when you value them, they value you. And it makes for such a better relationship. And so for you to find that, I'm so happy for you.
Absolutely.